We have today the privilege of a brief visit by one of our alumni. Pramod Chaudhary has been a successful entrepreneur who has set up and runs PRAJ Industries in Pune. Many of you would have heard of the great things that PRAJ has done. But today, more important to us is the family behind PRAJ. So I have great pleasure in presenting to you an alumnus and our friend Pramod Chaudhary.
Hello.
His wife Parimal and their son Parth.
Hi.
I would like to begin with asking you for reflecting briefly on your days in IIT.
I can say only wonderful days and really enjoyed. I say that whatever the personality development happened or career I could build, I give a lot of credit to IIT. In fact, me and my wife Parimal, we have published a book, As Is What Is, and there's a very important chapter on my IIT days. In fact, that expresses what I really feel for IIT.
Which were the years you were here on the campus, Pramod?
I joined in 1966 up to 71, 5 years, and I did my mechanical engineering from IIT.
If I recall, those were the days when most young people, typically middle class people, would seek jobs and be happy in a career. To think of entrepreneurship in those days, particularly when earning money was not exactly considered a great activity in India, how did you think of becoming an entrepreneur, and what were the initial hurdles that you had to pass?
Two things. And so you forgot one part, that 80% of my classmates went abroad. That was the first aberration or a system or practice which was there.
Yes.
So some of us who stayed back, I did some job for some period to get experience, hands-on experience. I started my career on the shop floor because I always believe that I must have some experience with the workers or the handling of manpower. That was a great experience. And the dreams of being on my own really were developed or got shaped in the lawns of main building. Always with the evening, during those exam days, sit there with a couple of friends and dream what can be done in life and how one can do something different and something of your own choice. So those are the dreams. But of course, as you rightly say, that middle class background, there was a limitation in terms of capital and all those things, and the encouragement was not very high from the point of view of starting on my own. So I did work for about 8 to 10 years. During that period, I also got married. My wife really supported me in those moments of uncertainty. I started PRAJ in 83 December.
Some people are curious about the origin of the name PRAJ. Is it an acronym?
It is partly acronym. Basically, one of my cousin brother was with me. He's also ex-IITian. He is a 77 batch. He was civil engineering. He was working in Middle East. He wanted to come back to India, and his name is Raju. So Pramod and Raju, we coined the word PRAJ. He worked for 2-3 years, but he found that the working in India was not that comfortable, so he decided to go back to Middle East, but the name, the legacy carried, and then it became Pramod Karaj.
Before we end with you, I would like to just ask you a small message for both the alumni friend, particularly the younger alumni, and more importantly to the students of the institute.
Well, entrepreneurship is a very exciting subject. I mean, I can talk on that subject. But the main thing is, of course, one has to have that perseverance, patience, and some kind of innovation in doing things. I think these three things, apart from anywhere you require hard work and efforts, are of course a assumed thing. But innovation, persistence, and patience is a good recipe to really be a successful entrepreneur, whatever business you choose, whether in IT or in any other service industry or in manufacturing industry. But these are the three major parameters which I feel are very crucial to be successful. One aspect also comes to my mind is that a good amount of anticipation or advanced planning with multiple choices. I always consider entrepreneurship, or for that matter career building, is a game of chess. Like you make one move, you imagine what can be the moves from your opponent, and then you have multiple solutions for those moves. So you got for one move almost 15-20 solutions coming in front of you or back of your mind. I think that's one of the very important thing in success in career or in professional life.
Wonderful. I would like to particularly request all our young students here, as well as the alumni who have passed out from the institute in recent years, while you seek your careers, they could be in jobs or they could be in entrepreneurship, But if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, please do learn from lives of people like Pramod, and the message that he gives, I think, of perseverance, of innovation, of planning and of execution, extremely important. So Parimal, thank you very much for joining us. And if you recall, Pramod was just mentioning that he actually participated in a job for some time before starting up. And in those days, entrepreneurship was not an easy choice to make. And you have been with him right from the first day. In fact, you must have participated in the early planning or whatever. So what were your experiences in those days?
With Pramod, marrying him as a job person or a non-job person, it was the same, because he always carried a resignation in his pocket all the time. So it was just a matter of time that he'll give up a job and start something on his own. And he always wanted to start on his own, although it was not very clear what he wanted to start on his own. But he did start, so it was a matter of time that he would eventually come up to do what he wanted to do. And as you said, what did I do in help? I mean, what does a wife do? She always supports. Does she have a choice? No. And of course, the planning bit of it, I was involved in sketching and planning, but otherwise it was all his game, really.
Particularly if you consider that, if we consider that you yourself had a very great, should I say, career before you, if you wanted to, because of your background, in variety of things that you had yourself done.
No, I married him when I was 17, so much of my education I did as his wife. So that was a huge enterprise on my own, and I was very happy that I was allowed, quote unquote, allowed to do what I wanted to do. In fact, all my fellowships and all my education which followed was after marriage. So he did his thing and I did my thing, and it couldn't have been better.
That's really wonderful to note. You know, now that PRAJ is immensely successful and we all feel proud of it, it's a matter to sort of relax. But during the early days, there must have been ups and downs, as would happen in any other entrepreneurship. You know, how did you manage to survive with the grit that is required? Because it's very clear that without your total support, he could have cracked sometimes under pressure.
For one, his threshold for cracking up is very high, so the cracks never really showed up at all. Two is because the budgets and everything were laid out well on time, we never really went out of our means to live. So there was no promise of a huge world that you wanted to be and was not there. So one, his excellent planning, and two, not having too ambitious a plans for ourselves. It was a passion with which he was following what he wanted to do. So it was okay, and I had tremendous trust in him in the sense, no matter what, he will find a way out. So that has been the better savior than anything else.
I hope my friends will note two very important points that she made. That A, she was completely confident of the planning. More importantly, they never lived beyond their means in the early days. It's a very, very important self-discipline, which the young entrepreneurs particularly, I have seen some of them getting the first round of funding and squandering that money on variety of things. I think it's an extremely important lesson that she has for all of us. I think she also points out that the confidence she had comes out of the confidence that Pramod himself had in the activities that he planned. That is one thing about IIT. You know, IITians are extremely confident about themselves. I often say jokingly that even mistakes that they make them very confidently. Isn't it, Parimal?
Yes, absolutely.
But they are very nice people, isn't it?
Yes, but the trouble is first of them to accept that they have made an excel. If they once accept it, they are the best ones to get out of it.
So friends, Parth is the Gen Next Chaudhari. I understand that you are studying in Syracuse, working towards entrepreneurship and management.
That's right.
So, you know, you have seen, of course, from the childhood how your parents have grown the industry and so on, and you come with a different and fresh thinking about life as compared to many others. What are your aspirations, and how do you see those aspirations dovetailing with the aspirations of the nation, and how do you think it can mutually contribute?
Okay, firstly, it's very strange to grow up from my generation because you've seen this transformation in the country in terms of, I mean, initially it used to be that brain drain phenomena. So now, even when I'm in America and you meet a lot of fellow Indians, there's a lot more hope of going back and using the education that they've gained for the good of the country and not just for themselves. So I think I'm part of that little group that wants to come back and do something, whatever it is. I mean, whether you want to be a young entrepreneur or you just want a good job, I think it's important that you're going back to the country that gave you this education in the first place. So I think I like to be part of that group.
Wonderful. Any particular thoughts about other contemporary youngsters of your generation? I mean, this confidence that you exhibit is exemplary, but sometimes one wonders whether all young people of your generation have exactly the same amount of confidence in both themselves and in their society. So,
I think, again, like I said, we're in a transformation phase. You have some people who are still in that mentality of going there, and I don't blame them. There is more opportunity outside at some places, and I don't blame them, but it's a mentality shift. I think sooner or later everyone's going to realize that not only is it, I mean, yes, there are streams of patriotism to come back and all, but you're stupid if you stay outside anymore, because this is where it's at now. It's going to be a practical decision, not just based on self-patriotism or whatever that is. It's going to be a practical decision that you better be here because everyone else is coming as well, not just Indians. There are a lot of other people setting up shop here. So I think it's going to happen very soon. And I find that a lot in my own friends who don't talk anymore about going abroad there, but what they're going to set up wealth creation or value creation in this country. And it's a good change, I think.
So friends, this was Parth, and I think we should be particularly happy to note the streak of both the confidence and the dreams, and it's a very, very satisfying thing to note that the Gen Next is thinking about working in India not just for the sake of some ideas which are very close to our chest, but also as a practical alternative. So thank you, Parth.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Parimal.
Thanks.
And thank you, Pramod, for being with us. Thank you.